use this as something that we need to change and we need to improve on. And so, I don't want to spend a lot of time talking. And I just want to say thank you for providing a great experience for me and a lot of the judges who came down here for the first time. And we are so impressed. And just be encouraged, even if you're not the winning team. I thought that you, overall, everyone did a great job. And hopefully you can be passionate and continue to work hard to improve your English and work hard to participate in events like public debating or policy debating. And so we turn it back to our host over here, and thank you for a wonderful debate.
Now, without further ado, let's welcome Professor of Departments of Foreign Languages and Literatures, National Taiwan University, Dr. Denny Huang.
Hey, hi everyone. First of all, let me begin by congratulating you on completing this daunting task of speaking in a foreign language in front of everybody. Speaking a foreign language is not easy, and let alone to participate in a debate contest held in a foreign language. But for me, you not only participated successfully in this debate contest, you actually nailed it. So for this great performance of yours and the courage of yours, why don't you give yourself a round of applause? Okay, and I'm sure that through this process of preparing for this debate contest, that was a year-round activity, you must have received a lot of help, support, guidance, scaffolding from your friends, your relatives, your classmates, especially your coaching teacher. So now I would like you to do me a favor. Now turn to your coaching teacher. I want to give this a lot of fun, right? So turn to your coaching teacher. Okay, now let me give you some of my comments very quickly, some general comments, and I'm going to divide them into two categories, like your techniques and your strategies. Right, in terms of your technique, you tend to speak very fast. Some of you spoke very fast. So fast that I couldn't catch up to your speed when I'm writing down your arguments. Please be sympathetic. We are getting old. We didn't really catch up to your speed, and we couldn't really write down the argument. It's really difficult for us to process your argument and give you some useful comments afterwards. Right? And your language use, vocabulary. When you are doing the research, I'm sure that you'll pick up the vocabulary from the source, but sometimes those vocabulary is not the best ones for you to use verbally, especially when it comes to cross-examination, and you use those written words to communicate, to ask questions, or to answer questions. It gets very hard to understand. And that's not really the whole point of having the cross-examination. That particular section is for you to really exchange some ideas, not to confuse each other with difficult words. So language use is something for you to bear in mind. And organization, I think structure is very important. And this point is really especially important when it comes to your rebuttals or your conclusion speech. Right? That is the part where you will leave the impression on the judges. So the structure is really important. Right? Debating, yes, it's important to win with your arguments, but the bottom line is that you are still making a public speech. So your speech-making skills still matter. All right? For instance, your facial expressions, your eye contact. Some of the students actually just read from the script, and they raised the script this high. So we couldn't even see their eyes at all. Right, so bear in mind that speech-making skills also matter when you are participating in this kind of debate contests. The last one, probably the most important one at this time, at this stage of your life, manners and politeness. All right, I think I said this for several times when I was giving comments during those rounds of debates. You know, some of you are going to be friends, you're going to be classmates in the future. You don't want to make enemies just right now. Okay, so please be sure that you are delivering or you're making your arguments in a polite and more friendly way. All right, third strategy to share with you for this particular debate contest, because the judges are around. Well, we've got nowhere to go. So after the debate is finished, it is actually preferable that you go and ask for some advice especially early on, like in the morning, that you can use those advice, incorporate them into the following rounds of your debates. Right? And when you're asking questions or answering questions, make sure that you listen to the constructive speeches of your opponent team. I know you got really tensed up, you got really heated up. Sometimes you weren't really listening to what the other team is saying, and when you go out there and ask questions, those are pre-planned questions that have nothing to do with what the opponent team just said. So really open up your ears and listen to their arguments. Okay, for the last strategy I would like to share with you, or comment that I have, and I'm sure that Nathan will back me up on this one. For your evidence cards, let's not turn this debate content into the battle of evidence cards. For the cross determinations, I heard this so many times. Where's your evidence? Do you have evidence? And the opponent says, yes, we have evidence, and that's it. Right? So, and also, when you are giving evidence to the other team, and you're asking for the evidence, then you stop there. So what's the point of asking a particular question? Right? Let me give a specific example from one of the match that I judged. And please don't be offended if I use that as an example. You're helping everybody. All right. They're asking for the particular evidence card, and then that group was saying that yes, we have the evidence card, but let me search for it for 1 minute. The cross-examination only lasted for 2 minutes, and that process took 1 minute. That's not really the best way to spend a particular, very precious 2 minutes. Right, so for the evidence cards, you might want to think twice when you're asking for this and think about what you are asking this for. Right, so this will be something for you to think about. And all you know, let me echo what my colleagues said and Will said. You all did a very good job today. And I feel a little embarrassed to say this, but some of you actually outperformed my students at Taiga. So don't tell them. Right? And Michael has already said this, but I'm sure that some of you, please come to Taiga. And others will go to Zenda. Thank you very much.
You're also welcome to Christ College, too.
Thank you, Dr. Dan Thomas. Let's invite Professor of English Department, National Taiwan Normal University, Dr. Aaron Davidson.
So, I'd also like to reiterate, I'd like to echo what some of my fellow judges have already said about the standard, the high quality of English spoken today. This is the second year that I've been a judge in this competition, and it's definitely higher than last year, and it was already very good last year. So well done to all of you. It's really impressive, and I'm jealous of you. The other aspect of one of my colleagues' speeches that I want to echo is the emphasis on the kind of ethical and moral aspect. So my colleague Charles Lee talked about how it's important to remember the effects, the outcome, the impact on society for the kind of ideas that you're debating. Why does it all matter? Okay? Because it really matters with these kinds of debates. So how do you feel that? How do you feel how much it matters? Well, one way of feeling how much it matters is to argue on both sides. Okay? So when you're rehearsing, when you're practicing, maybe you do this already, but I think you can't do it enough really, is to practice arguing on both sides of the argument, and to really, I would say, internalize those arguments. Do you understand what I mean by internalize? Take them into yourself, so that your teacher can fire questions at you, follow-up questions, which you have to answer, which you have to improvise answers for. You understand improvise? You know, you're there spontaneously on the spot, right? No preparation, just answer it now. And if you've internalized those arguments, then you will be able to answer your teacher's follow-up questions. And when you start doing that, you'll realize how important these arguments are. It matters if you get things right or wrong. It can affect the future of your family, your community, your society, your country, your nation. And there's one other ethical aspect or moral aspect that I want to ask you to think about, and that's where you go forward with this. All of you have proved that you're very good at public speaking, you're very good at debating, you have the art of persuasion to some extent, yeah? Some of you to a very large extent. So you can persuade people, yeah? You have power, yeah? How are you going to use that power? What are you going to do with this power? Are you going to go into politics? Are you going to go into law? Are you going to go into the academy? Are you going to go into business? Because all of you can do all of these things and many other things as well. And if you do, what are you going to do to those institutions? Are you going to use your power for good or evil, to use very emotional words? Are you going to make those institutions better or worse, or just keep them the way they are? So I want you to think about that. I also want you to think about the power you have in your own relationships, in your family. You know, you're intelligent people. You can influence people in a positive way or a negative way. You can win arguments at home, in your communities. Are you going to win those arguments for good or not good? I know this sounds a bit like a sort of a vicar's, a sermon in a church or something, and I don't really want to create that effect. But I do just want you to think about the power you have, because it's a very exciting thing, and Taiwan